Hi, I thought I'd make a video as it is now the winter solstice and first day of Capricorn. As you can see, it's beautifully sunny, slightly cool wind, but can't complain for this time of year. You know, I find it kind of funny and I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which we are dying are the best we've ever had. It's the chorus of a song by Tears for Fears called It's a Mad World, or Mad World, I believe the title is. What is interesting is what is revealed in those lyrics. Later on in the song it says, I'm trying to remember the verse now. First day at school, I was very nervous. No one knew me. No one knew me. Hello, teacher. What's my lesson? Look right through me. Look right through me. Cool, that sun is bright. When a song repeats a line, that's the time to really take note. So if we go back over that again. First day at school, very nervous. No one knew me. It becomes apparent when it is written because no one, if you write it as N-O with a dot and then a 1, obviously it becomes number 1 knew me. Hello, teacher, what's my lesson? Look right through me, as if you're not there. But then it repeats it again. So if we slow it down, look right through me. It's referencing an esoteric message about the right side, the right hemisphere of the mind. And right near the end of that song is a huge clue. It repeats, it's a very, very mad world. And then right near the end of the song it says theologian world. Theology is obviously the study of God, as it were. It's an esoteric message and a very good one, so I thought I'd share that with you. What I actually wanted to talk about was something that flashed back into the mind. As far as I can pinpoint this, it is in the 7-year period when this physical being was between 21 and 28 years of age. So a few decades ago, shall we say. The scenario was I was driving along a dual carriageway, coming up to an S-bend. Not particularly sharp bends. I believe I was going, if I remember rightly, down to Dover to meet people from a ferry. I should point out here, this is not in a car, this is in what you'd call a tour bus. The sort of, should we say, the luxury end of tour buses with the toilet and the kitchen, that kind of thing, and obviously luggage space, air conditioned and whatever. So as I'm driving along, there's this, I can only describe it as like a shadowy Grim Reaper-like figure appeared and said, would you like another chance? Would you like to start again? And I seemed to spend ages pondering that question. And it did seem like a long time. But when I actually came to a decision and I said, no thank you, I decline, I then realized I had momentarily, maybe only for a split second, I had fallen asleep at the wheel. It wasn't very long before I was shown what the outcome of that would have been. There was no one on this vehicle except myself, so no one else would have been affected. This was something like 4:30 in the morning, if I remember rightly. no other vehicles or very few vehicles on the road. And the vehicle I was driving would have rolled down the bank. There was an incident that made the national news in the UK, in which the same type of vehicle actually did roll down the bank, and the American tourists on that vehicle, I don't know if all of them were killed outright or some of them just sustained severe injuries, but it was sufficient to make the national news. Now, these particular vehicles have an oil-based secondary braking system, bearing in mind that all the engine is behind the rear axle. If on a wet road, if the braking is applied too heavily, it can lock the wheels up. There was all sorts of speculation about it, but suffice to say that the driver was beheaded and had his legs cut off, which was probably a blessing in a way, because I don't think he would have been able to live with himself. He didn't actually cause the accident from the stories that I remember hearing after the event, but it sort of showed me what would have been the outcome for this physical being had I said to this Grim Reaper figure, yes, I would like a second chance. It would have been a chance to jump timelines, as it were. So I thought I'd just share that with you. Can't exactly say it was a near-death experience, but it was certainly an invitation to step through a doorway. And I know that the story of this physical being dramatically changed not long after that. So I'd completely forgotten all about the event, but it sort of came back in my mind, it sort of flashed in the mind's eye, and I thought, oh yes, I'd forgotten about that. That's something worth sharing on video. So it might sound a little bit morbid, but if you apply this 7-year cycle to your own life, and within that there is also the halfway marker, the 3.5 years, which is 1,260 days. As Rudolf Steiner explains, the I organization is tied up with sculpting the mind, and it is only at the age of 3.5 that a human being will start to express themselves as I, because prior to that, in those first 3.5 years, that first 1260 days, the mind is tied up with working with the astral body. But after that 3.5 years, you're more cemented into this reality. And then this sort of individual awareness comes in. Then at the age of 7, give or take a couple of years, because it's not exactly on the 7 years, you develop the adult teeth. At 14, roughly, give or take a couple of years, you go through puberty. Then 21 is the coming of age, and then 28, that seems to be expressed in the music world is what is called as the 27 Club. But apply this 7-year marker within your own life. It's to do with spiritual development. You have this story around this time of year of the sun resurrecting and starting I forget how long it was, but the Bible story. But you've only got to observe what that really is about from a observational point. Today is the first of it. The sun reaches its lowest point in the sky. It stays there for 3 days and then begins to rise again. That's been morphed into a carnalized story, but what is given to you in the Bible is basically like a cake. It is not a thing of itself. It's something Ken Wheeler explains as well. It is like a cake, it is a mixture of ingredients that are put together to produce something that is a composite, a composition. That is exactly what you've got all sort of tied up in various religions, but it is not a historical truth, but it is a truth in the internal sense. So I thought I'd share that with you, and really the main reason of making this video is to wish you all a wonderful winter solstice. It can be very ensnaring to get tied up in the sort of silly season madness at this time of year, but as and when you can, take yourself out of it, give yourself time to breathe. That is really the best thing you can do for yourself. As Alan Watts explains, this life is like a dance. It's not about trying to get somewhere. It's not about trying to get from one side of the dance floor to the other. It is about enjoying the moment. And although I can't really go into any specific details, reiterating what I've been saying in the last two videos about the Fool's journey is the hero's journey, it is the zero in the major arcana of the tarot card. The Fool is indifferent, not a care in the world. It's not being pulled in this direction or that direction by this external reality. But on that journey, you are also gaining experience, which is what the other 21 cards of the major arcana represent. I don't know how any of you have been feeling of late, but there have been early evening where the physical body has been sending signals that would indicate flu-like symptoms. But please understand that they are most likely not flu-like symptoms. It is just the body's way of communicating, reflecting what is in the sky. The sun has less time period, there's less time period of daylight. So the body is just communicating to slow down. Internally, we go through a winter solstice. It is a time of rebirth. It is a time of renewal, a time of resurrecting and coming out the other side. So my personal journey that I'm going through at the moment is playing the part of the Fool. I'd refer you also to the story of Parsifal, which is the perfect fool. He goes out into the world, learns things, and then comes back and sees what is displayed in the Wagnerian drama with fresh eyes, as it were. It is key to lose all fear. The conscious mind cannot predict in the way things will come, but I can assure you from my own experience, so it is a testimony here, and it is something amazing just how things unfold, providing you don't give that attention to fears and worries of things that would seem to be, as we look at it from the present moment, as to the way the future is going. But of course, if you let the thing unfold and you don't embrace that fear or that doubt in yourself, what you will find is a magical new experience. Things will just unfold, and each day is one of just amazement, a feeling of wow, and contentment. I'm very much at a point now where, yes, it looks like this or that may happen, But instead of worrying about it and putting energy into something that may not actually happen, it's like, okay, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So there is no point in mentally constructing a bridge that you're never going to use. So just let things come. A lot of things will dissolve and they will be false evidence appearing real. They are the fears. So if you can just move past those, what opens up afterwards is something very magical. And it all comes in the most unlikely ways. It does impact the physical, and it becomes a beautiful experience. So this is a sort of a testimony of good news. I feel just appreciative of everything. Things that normally you may perceive as negative as much as things are positive. But we're in a realm where there is a presentation of things that can look negative, things that can look positive. But to use a biblical quote, judge ye not, lest ye be judged. So don't judge anything. Just let it unfold. Don't import any fear. Just know that the universe has got your back. It really does provide in a time when you need things most. Not, this is a huge distinction, not the things we would like from the conscious mind aspect, but things that we really do need. It is just so incredible the way it unfolds, and it can seem like a series of almost like insignificant, trivial little things, but they all add to a picture, something that is absolutely wonderful. So I thought that I would share that with you and wish you solstice greetings, and I hope that you can find that inside yourself. It is an internal journey. The universe is the you in verse, and it'll take you to places you've never been before, in the metaphorical sense rather than the physical sense. But the communication of that is always in the feeling. But here's a contrast. If you have fears and worries about things, you will actually draw those very things you don't want towards you. So the key is to let go of all of that. It is a letting go process after all. Let go of fears, let go of doubts, let go of worry, let things unfold. Know that you are looked after, you are protected, you are here for a re-sun, which is a reference to a resurrection, where you emerge something new, just like the way the sun will appear to sort of die in the sky, reaches its lowest point, but after 3.5 days, it starts to rise again. You'll see the same pattern replicated with the Mercury retrograde. There's the shadow period, then the Mercury retrograde itself, and then there's the shadow period after Mercury would seem to be moving forward again. Just from an earthly to astral perspective, of course. It doesn't actually go backwards, but it seems by observation that it does. But it affects communication and travel. That's often mentioned, but also consider it is a perfect time for inner reflection. It is a perfect time for short-term projects. It very much comes down to learn what you can change and accept what you cannot. So, as always, unconditional love to you all, and may this winter solstice be a time of renewal, a time of rebirth for you, a time where you emerge to the other side with a greater sort of knowledge through experience of things. Really, it does come down to distinguishing and discerning what is the body communicating to the mind. Is the mind understanding what is communicated? So to reiterate, if you are feeling flu-like symptoms, the chances are it's just the body is saying to you, take it easy, because rest is best. I go with the idea of this 24 hours in the day, so split it into 3. 8 hours of rest, 8 hours of being, and 8 hours of doing. Obviously you can mix and match the being and doing. But consider like devices, the more you use them, the more you deplete the battery, and then it needs recharging. No different from us. So be kind to yourself. Put the oxygen mask on yourself, otherwise you cannot help others, is another way of expressing this. So, once again, I wish you all a wonderful winter solstice, and know that we are going into a time where the light will increase again. It balances out. That's something that is reflected in everything in this reality, whether it is the astral, or the earthly, or the internally. So as always, unconditional love to you all.